of the game, you'll set up the table, your main deck cards and your table cards. The table cards will be with the meal side up and the money side down. And then you'll set your 4 dice, and there are 30 meal tokens that you'll set on the table as well. So you'll deal 5 cards to each player, and then play will continue to the left of the dealer. On your turn, you can play up to 2 cards out of your 5-card hand. You can only play 1 card on yourself by laying it down in front of you, and you can play 1 card on an opponent by laying it down in front of them. Or you can simply discard cards into the discard pile if you just want to get new cards into your hand. So in order to roll the dice, you'll need to have a cook equipped. So usually if you have a cook in your hand, it's good to lay a cook down. You can only have 1 cook equipped at a time. So at the beginning of your turn, before you play any cards, you'll take a table card and you'll put it down in front of you in order to have your table that you're trying to complete. You'll keep this table in front of you until you complete it. Once you've completed it, you'll flip it over, revealing the tip that you've earned, and this will stay visible to all players throughout the game. Any extra meals that you've earned while trying to complete this will just get discarded into the discard pile. They don't transfer over to your new table, as you won't draw a new table card until the start of your next turn. So once you have a cook, each cook will say the number of dice they can roll. And so you'll roll your dice. If you had a cook that could roll 3, you'd roll 3 dice. And if you get 2 meals and 1 fired, you'd take a couple meal tokens and you'd set those on the table card that's in front of you, indicating that you got 2 meals for that roll. If you roll your dice and they all turn up fired, then you have to discard your cook into the discard pile and wait till you get a cook again in order to be able to roll the dice. So there are cards that you can play on yourself as well as the game goes on. There's trainees, which will give you extra dice on every turn. You have to have a cook equipped and able to roll the dice on the trainees. However, you don't have to have a cook equipped in order to lay them down in front of you. Same with the plus cards, like the energy drink, and then there's others. Again, you can lay them down in front of you even if you don't have a cook, but you actually can't roll them until you get one. So with the plus card rolls, you'll initially roll your 3 dice for your cook, and then you would roll additional dice for your trainees and your energy drinks and things like that, as they are not affected by fired dice where your cook is. So if a minus card is played on you, then you would have to take that minus whatever away from your cook can roll. So if you have a cook that can roll 3 dice and you've got a -1, you'll take 1 away. If you roll the 2 dice and they both turn up fired, now again, your cook is discarded. Now if you happen to have a plus card on yourself, when your cook is fired, that will go away with your cook unused. However, anything like a trainee, that'll stay equipped on you until either someone steals it or you lose it. So moving on to if somebody wants to steal your cook from you, there's the better offer card that they could play on you, and then they could actually take your cook and have them play for them. If you happen to have a counter offer card in your hand, you could lay that down immediately to stop the better offer card from being able to steal your cook. As far as having minus cards played on you, there are kitchen supplies in the game, such as work shoes, gloves, and first aid kits. There's little symbols on all of the minus cards that can be prevented by kitchen supplies. So like this one has a hand, this is a little foot, but you'd match that up to know what the kitchen supply prevents. If you have a minus card played on you, as soon as you equip a kitchen supply on yourself, you can get rid of that immediately. And so if I already had something like gloves equipped on myself, you actually couldn't play this on me. So the thieves are great cards as far as you can steal kitchen supplies from other people to equip on yourself, which will also take that ability away from them to be able to stop some of the minus cards. There's health inspectors and other cards like it where you can play on another player and they simply lose their next turn. The cook quits card is another good card just for playing on other players, and then they have to discard their cook. There are certain cooks in the game that are actually immune to the cook quits card, and that'll actually say so right on the cards. They all have little instructions on them. So one-armed cooks and others like that In red, they say can replace any cook and play. So if I have, or my opponent has this cook and I have this in my hand, I could play this on them and they would actually have to discard their cook and then use this one-armed cook until they can get a new cook equipped. If you happen to have a cook equipped on yourself, like a roll 2 cook, and then you have a better one in your hand, you can just lay that down and then get rid of that right away. You can only have one cook equipped at a time. So, and then there's the customer complaint cards. Anytime a customer card is played against you, you have the opportunity to try and stop it by cooking the customer. And so you would roll 2 dice immediately. And if they both turned up meal, then you could get rid of that card without having it affect you, and you would place 2 meals on your table. If you don't get 2 meals, then you would have to deal with what it says in white here. And then there's instant kill, essentially, cards in the game that stop customer cards immediately. And so if you have one of these and somebody plays a customer card on you, you can just play that right away, and that would get rid of that, and you would still place the 2 meals on your table card. As far as stealing other people's tables, there are several cards in the game that say that you can take over a player's table and discard your own. So if my opponent has this 8-top table over here and they had, say, 7 meals on it already, and I had this card, I could play it on them, steal their table with all the meals on it for myself. I just have to get rid of any table that I already am working on and all the meals that I have on it. And so that's a brief synopsis of just how the cards work and how to play Cooking Customers. Your goal in the game is to earn $20 in tips to win.